Yep, it's working. Okay, hello everyone, welcome. This is Angelica at the Osteopathy and Healing Center, and now we're going to go through a protocol just so you understand what would be done for babies that have any digestive issues or any kids that could have digestive issues. So the first thing is a bilateral occipital condyle decompression technique. So I'm just going to go over here on Omar's head. And so both of my hands are basically on Omar's occiput. Yep, and we're gentle. We're just holding gently. Yeah, you're good, Omar. You just stay laying down. So again, we can follow the cranial rhythmic impulse. So I'm just checking that occiput if it's moving into flexion and extension. And I'm following that pattern in order to gently pump the area to be able to decompress those condyles. Okay, and so what I'm feeling here with Omar is on the right side we have some compression, so we're just releasing that. And then the second technique we're going to do, it's called the occipital base expansion technique. So I'm going to go a little bit lower on his neck. You want your middle finger on the C1, and then you want the little finger and the ring finger on the occiput, and then you want the index finger on the mastoid process. Okay, so nice and straight with the head. And the thumbs are on the temporal bone. Again, you're checking for the cranial rhythmic impulse of these bones. Of the temporal bone as it goes into external rotation and extension. And then the opposite, internal rotation, flexion. So in this case, I'm finding the left temporal is stuck in internal rotation flexion. So I'm just going into ease and holding, waiting for a release. And then we're also trying to open up that foramen magnum because there is important nerves that pass there to the digestive system. So again, I'm following that cranial rhythmic impulse. And you're imagining that foramen magnum opening. And I'm moving my hands in that direction, letting it open gently, obliquely. as it goes into extension, or the occiput goes into extension. Okay, now the third technique we're going to do, we're going to normalize. So stay on your back for me, Omar. Yep, on your back, on your back. Is we're going to check the sacrum. So can you lift your hips up for me? Yep, up, up. Hips up. Yep, up. Good. And down. And down. Yep. And I need your leg to be straight. Good. So you've got one hand on the sacrum, and you're going to put one hand here on his diaphragm. And I'm checking with my back hand if the sacrum is moving nicely into extension. It is. And flexion. Now as it moves into flexion, it's pulling me to the right corner. So I'm going into ease and I'm holding, waiting for a release of the sacrum. So we're normalizing here the pelvic floor and the thoraco-abdominal diaphragm, or pelvic diaphragm and the thoraco-abdominal diaphragm. And I'm going to move my hand a little bit higher up on the sternum, and we're going to see how that sacrum is moving in relation to the sternum. You're doing good. Almost done this technique. So what we'll feel during the flexion stage of the sacrum, it will move into flexion, okay? So in this case, towards the ceiling. And the sternum will move down towards the sacrum. And in extension, the sternum will move up, and the sacrum will move down towards the floor. Okay, and so we're checking and normalizing for any restriction. And then there we had a release of the fascia. So the sternum was pulling me over to his right shoulder. But now it's good, it's moving nicely. So now the fourth technique we're going to do. Okay, can you straighten your legs for me? And yeah, you want to be straight, very good. We're going to check the sigmoid colon. Now we're going to normalize it. And I'm going to do that by using the leg as my long lever, and my hand on the sigmoid colon is the fulcrum. So I grasp the foot. And I'm feeling for, again, that cranial rhythmic impulse. And I'm feeling for the iliac bone, so my front fingers are on the ASIS and my thumb is on the PSIS, and I'm feeling for that cranial rhythmic male impulse of the iliac bone moving into flexion and extension, or internal rotation, or in flare and external rotation and out flare. And I do feel some restriction. It's not going as much to the outside or external rotation. Now I'm using the leg too here to feel for any fascial restriction. So like right here I feel some restriction. So I'm going to just hold and wait for the release. And sometimes what you'll have is the leg moving spontaneously. The baby may want it in one position more than the other in order to release any restrictions in the area. Okay, and then we just check. We move the leg around. Yes, so just move around with me, your leg here. And we check for any restrictions, and then we hold and wait. Okay, then I recheck that iliac if it's moving how it's supposed to. It's cranial rhythm